Hi, I'm Mira Raven. I am a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and producer. And I'm going to talk about the benefits of self-love right now because we're coming up on Valentine's Day, and I feel like this is the time of year that everybody starts to kind of get all into, the roses and the candies and, oh, am I going on a date, or my sweetheart, and that kind of thing. So I think that's wonderful. That's great. People should continue to revel in the feelings of love. But I think that a lot of times we don't talk enough about self-love and the benefits of really focusing on loving yourself first before even getting in a relationship. So those things are, number one, you get to actually focus on yourself. When you're not focusing on being in a relationship and you're focusing on your own well-being, your own body, mind, spirit, and emotions, your life just becomes so much more simple. It's like you don't have to worry about dealing with somebody else's emotions. And I want to say this, and clarify that it's not a selfish sort of, you don't have to worry about other people. It's just that when you haven't figured out yourself enough and you haven't really figured out what you need and you're not able to meet your own needs and you're dependent on somebody else and they're dependent on you, it can become a big mess, which is why a lot of times, some relationships struggle because both people involved in those relationships are kind of, not really giving themselves what they need. They're depending on somebody else to do that for them. So I think that when you focus on self-love, you're focusing on how can I meet my own needs? How can I be independent and not be dependent on other people for the things that make me feel whole? And that brings me to the second one. Letting go of this idea of needing to be completed by another person or feeling whole from another person. So I think we all have gone through that phase in our lives where we just want that other companion and we feel like having that companion is going to somehow complete us, as if we are incomplete if we're not with someone. Well, I can tell you from experience that that when you get to a level where you don't feel like you need to have somebody in your life to feel complete, it's a beautiful feeling. It really is. It's a beautiful feeling to realize that you don't need to depend on somebody to feel joy. I mean, and again, it's not to say that I am advocating for not being in relationships. I think that relationships can be a beautiful thing, but I think they're even more beautiful when both people come to the relationship and have figured out a little bit more about themselves. Not everything, because you're not going to know everything about yourself, but just figure it out enough to, again, take care of yourself. And then, of course, letting other people into your life and allowing them to do things for you and allowing, there's a sharing that happens in relationships. So I think that that's also very important. But I think that when you have that independence, then you can enjoy when people do things for you, but then you don't expect them to, right? You're not depending or waiting for people to do things for you. You're go with the flow. And when somebody does something for you, it's like a bonus. It's not, something that, they feel obliged to do for you, which is a great place to be in, because then there's no pressure. There's no, in relationships, I feel like there's also this feeling of pressure. Like you need to be there. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to be responsible for this person's emotions and whatnot. So I think those are some things that, that come up a lot in relationships. The third benefit is by focusing more on self-love, you can actually focus on, this is kind of like the first one, you can focus more on like what your goals are. So like if you have things that you wanted to do, things that you want to accomplish, sometimes doing those things before you really get into a deep relationship can be really helpful. And it can also help you kind of get confident in yourself and just who you are as a person, rather than again, feeling like you're tied to the person that you are with, and your worth is dependent on the worth of the person you're with. So if you're with somebody that's very popular and has high status in society, that you start to think that without that person, you are nothing, right? Because maybe they have a certain kind of status, and by being with them, you are kind of elevated to that status, and it makes you feel good, right? And then when they're gone, you feel like you're worthless or something, right? Which is not true, but you might feel that way, right? Especially if you're putting all of your confidence, again, in the other person and just the relationship itself. Gonna wait for those sirens. I live in Chicago, so there's always something going on. Another benefit to focusing on self-love is that you really start to be able to feel joy and excitement. And again, it's not to say you can't feel that in a relationship. It's just that when you're by yourself, you get more time to reflect. You get more time to meditate. You get more time to really think about what kind of things that you want to do. And you create that joy internally rather than externally by who you're with or what's happening outside of you. It's like you get to spend more time like being like, okay, yeah. And when you have that time where you're just kind of like meditating, or being more mindful or being more aware of your experience as a human being on this earth, you start to realize, wow, this is amazing. I live in space, right? And I think sometimes we forget that we live in space. Isn't that so cool? Like space. Like I think sometimes people feel like space is out there, right? We're not in it. People don't realize or feel that we're in it. It's like we are sort of disconnected from space, right? But the reality is we are in space. We're part of it. It is what we are in. So it's wonderful. It's very wonderful. It's beautiful. But I think when you're caught up in a relationship, you're caught up in the relationship. So you're not really taking that time to really think about what exactly, you don't get to be as philosophical. And of course, in relationships, you can have very deep relationships. You can have conversations with people that do open your mind and open your spirit to new ideas, no doubt, right? But I think that a lot of times I just get this feeling that as humans, we always feel that we need to have other people around all the time, constantly, in order to be like, I don't know, in order to enjoy life. And I think the one thing that I've learned, even though I'm very social and I'm around a lot of people all the time, I do a lot of teaching and I'm doing a lot of, activities where I'm working with people all the time. But I can tell you, honestly, I've very much enjoyed my time alone. I enjoy alone time. I enjoy just like playing music at home. Like I don't need to constantly share things. I mean, social media I struggle with because it's just really hard to get things out to people, when you don't really feel like, I don't really care, like if people see my life and what I'm doing, like, because I'm just enjoying my life, which is what I feel like is the most important thing to me. So sometimes when I think about recording my life and sharing it and telling everybody all the cool things I'm doing, it kind of takes away from the moment to me, the experience of just enjoying the moment. So yeah. So, overall, I think that, again, when people talk about, being in relationships, or maybe they're sad because they're not in a relationship and they feel like it's Valentine's Day and you feel like you should be in a relationship, I want you to do this instead. When you start to get down, or if you start to get depressed about, just life, or really just, again, you're feeling like you need to be with somebody, or you feel like, sad because you aren't with somebody, I want you to do this. I want you to plan a date for yourself. And this might seem kind of silly, but it actually, I think if you let go of any judgment that you have of this, you can really enjoy it fully. So I'll give you an example. So I know for me, I love cooking. I love music. I like, anything artistic. So for me, maybe if I just, want to take a nice long shower and, maybe do a face mask and, paint my nails, or maybe I want to, just watch my favorite movie or listen to my favorite album and just get in the zone and just make myself as comfortable as possible. Stuff like that. I feel like, and it can be whatever you like to do, but I think it's just really finding things that you enjoy and really paying attention to those things that you enjoy, the things that make you feel alive, the things that make you feel at ease, the things that heal you. Paying attention to all of those things are going to help you start to find what lights you up, right? So really, if you are watching this video and you don't know what lights you up, okay, I want you to just forget this Valentine's Day crap. Figure out what lights you up. If you haven't figured it out already, figure it out. And if you figured it out, write it down and start to implement it into your life so that you can be lit up, right? Because we all are beings of light. So you can be lit up every moment of the day, right? Or, and you can just experience life. Because the sooner that you can get to a level where you can just experience life and you can find joy in your day-to-day, in the mundane, in the simplest things, in the cold crispness of the air, instead of being upset that it's cold, right? Playing with the edge and going, you know what? This is a different sensation. I don't have a feeling about it, and you don't have to have a feeling about it. You can like it or hate it, or you could just say, you know what? It's a different sensation. And there's a lot of things in life that you can just do that. You don't have to be like, it's good or bad. You can literally just be like, no, it's not good or bad. It just is. You don't even have to put a label on it. You can just literally experience it. And I think that that's another level of life that we can get to, which is not always asking, what is this? What is this? What is this? But asking, how do I feel about this? What is this experience that I'm feeling? Not even what is it, but just feeling it. Like not even asking what it is, just allowing it to just happen without even getting our consciousness caught up in it, because our consciousness kind of gets in the way sometimes. So I feel like if we just kind of allow things to just happen, we don't try to steer it in any particular direction or have a particular expectation, beautiful things can happen sometimes when you do that, when you kind of just sit back and allow things to come to you. So I think that, again, the journey of self-love is a very beautiful journey. It's a very spiritual journey, no matter what you believe in. I think that, no matter what religion or spirituality you subscribe to, or even if you don't subscribe to a religion or any of that, I still think no matter what, if you just take that time for yourself to take care of yourself, to make sure that you have what you need, to learn who you are, right, on a deeper level, and to learn what lights you up, to learn what kind of things you want, right? What kind of things do you enjoy? And treat yourself the way that you want to be treated, right? And I'm sure people have said that many times. Treat yourself the way that you want to be treated. Treat other people the way you would want to be treated, right? But also that starts with treating yourself the way that you want somebody to treat you. So if you are abusive to yourself, right, then you're going to attract people that are abusive to you. And again, we're skating on thin ice here, and I'm not trying to say that people that end up in those kinds of situations, that it's their fault or anything like that. I want to be very clear about that. But I will say that that energy can attract similar energy. And also that no matter what, if you start to love yourself, if you really truly love yourself, then a lot of times you won't end up in relationships where you're being abused, because you want the best for yourself, right? And you're coming from a place of knowing what is best for you and wanting to do what's best for you, and coming from a place of saying, no, I know my self-worth and I am not, that is not what I deserve. And being able to walk away because you know that you deserve better, because you know that you are a worthy person, and that easily you will attract the kind of person that you need. So when the time is right, and if you don't attract the person that you need right when you think you need them, just take that as a sign that maybe the universe is trying to tell you that you don't need them right now, that you don't need any particular person right now, and that's okay. Just because you don't have someone in your life, that doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you don't, that you're not this or you're not that. It just means that's just what it is at that moment. You never know what could happen. At any moment, you could meet the person that you end up marrying and living with for the rest of your life. So you really just don't know. So the biggest thing that I want you to take away with this idea is that if you want to be in a deep relationship, if you want to be in an amazing relationship, I feel like it is so important to really take that time to really find self-love, and it's more than just looking in the mirror and saying, I'm beautiful. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. It's more like learning everything that you can about your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, and being able to kind of analyze yourself a little bit and go, well, what are my patterns? What am I afraid of? Why? Why am I afraid of it? And what can I do to change that? On my own, what resources do I have right in front of me? Because I can tell you a lot of times we are much more resourceful and we have a lot of the tools that we need to solve our own problems most of the time. But you just have to be creative and look around, right? So, I think that, this Valentine's Day, if you haven't taken some time for yourself, this is the time. Use it as an excuse to remind yourself why you're here. What's your purpose? What are you trying to do here? I can tell you my purpose is to change the world through music. Change the world through teaching music, through playing music, through creating music, producing music. Because I really truly believe that music is a wonderful, blessed art form. It really can say things that words can't sometimes. And I think it's one of the best ways for us to communicate those things that, again, are hard to say in words. Certain emotions, certain feelings, certain imagery. And that's why I love it. That's why I've always loved it. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this little talk, if you're inspired, please write me a little message, because this is really, to me, I could talk to myself all day, and I do talk to myself all the time. But I realized after talking to myself and listening to myself talk to myself and listening to what I was saying to myself, I was thinking, well, maybe I should actually share some of these things I'm saying, because they could be helpful to other people. And so this is why I am sharing this rambling message with you out there, person. So, I hopefully, if you're watching this video, you're thinking about those things. You're thinking about, what do I really like? If you're watching this video and you're, somebody who hasn't thought about those things, I want you to tell me anyway. I want you to tell me, have you thought about those things? Do you have love for yourself right now? Whether you're in a relationship or if you're not in a relationship, do you take that time for yourself? Do you know the insides and outs of yourself? Do you know your patterns? Do you know the things that make you light up? Right? Do you know all that? If you do, share it in the comments. If you don't, share it in the comments. Either way, I want to connect with you guys. So if you're watching this video, feel free to please leave a comment below about how do you feel about this? How do you feel about Valentine's Day? Do you get stressed out? Do you feel like people are, do you feel like it's overrated, over commercialized? What do you feel about all this? And have you ever tried to, just make it your own holiday, make it your own day where you just eat chocolate and strawberries and watch movies? And that's not depressing. It doesn't have to be. It's whatever you want it to be. Like you thinking it's depressing. Some people might say that's depressing. Well, no, it's not depressing. It's just is what it is. If that's what you want to do, you have every right to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, other people might say that, but does it matter what they think? Are they there to enjoy it? No, you're there. It's about you. It's about what you want to do in the moment that you will enjoy. And it doesn't matter what other people think about it, because that's irrelevant. It really doesn't matter, right? So that's the kind of mindset that I have had in the past 4 or 5 years. And I've been single for a while, and it's honestly been the greatest thing. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to be in a relationship, but I definitely am okay with being single right now. And it will, I'll always be okay with it, and then, as soon as somebody comes into my life that's what I'm looking for, then, then I'll take that journey. But being single for this long, and which I think it's been 5 or 6 years, being single for 5 or 6 years has taught me how to be self-reliant. It's taught me how to take care of myself. It's taught me how to love myself in a deeper way. I love myself so deeply that, anybody that comes into my life, I'm going to ask myself, are they loving me the way that I'm loving me? Because if they're not loving me the way that I'm loving me, then I don't want to love them. Right? So I hope that this was helpful if you're watching this video. I hope that it brought a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of warmth to your day, just knowing that there are people out here like myself who have not been in a relationship, and I'm totally fine. I'm thriving. I'm great. I don't feel depressed. I'm not sitting, watching, what is it called? Gilmore Girls eating ice cream and crying or something. I mean, there's nothing wrong with watching Gilmore Girls and eating ice cream. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I guess the crying part would be kind of, that would be upsetting. Anyway, I feel great. I've been single for several years. I feel like I know myself very well now. I know what my body needs, and I feel great. I don't know what else to say. So if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do, because I am actually getting ready to release a new song, and I'm pretty excited about this. In fact, the song that I'm releasing, called Marvelous, is about this very subject. So the whole song is basically about how when you fall in love with somebody, it's kind of about it talks a little bit generally about falling in love with somebody, but then it also talks a little more about like getting to that place in a relationship where you realize that the person that you're in love with is a reflection of you. So because that person reflects you, it's basically a reflection of your self-love, right? So you love yourself. This person is essentially very similar to you, and maybe you see that and you realize, oh my gosh, this person is me, right? And this is sort of this also kind of like a higher level thing, because on a higher level, we all already are connected. We're already one, and we're already connected. So when you kind of realize that the person that you love really is connected to you anyway, And that when you find that love for yourself, you're already finding love for them. You're already loving them when you love yourself. And that just radiates out from you. And you might be able to notice that in me. That, people often tell me that I have a glow about me, a radiance about me. I don't know. I think it's just the lights. I think it might just be because I put some lights up and they're shining in my face right now and I absorb the light. But in addition to that, I feel glowing. Whether or not I'm glowing, I feel radiant. I feel alive. And marvelous is about that feeling. It's about the feeling of realizing, wow, doesn't it feel so good to actually be in love with somebody and in love with myself at the same time? Being able to enjoy who I am, being able to know who I am, being able to be confident in who I am, but at the same time, being able to share that with another person. And how amazing that feels, how marvelous it feels, right? So it's kind of saying, doesn't it feel marvelous to have this kind of deeper kind of love for oneself and for others? So that's what the song is about. And I will be releasing this song on Valentine's Day as a sort of, I don't want to say an anti-Valentine's Day song. It's more like a different kind of Valentine's Day. It's not talking necessarily about being with a person. I mean, it can relate to being with a person, but it's also about just realizing that you are going to give yourself the love that you need. At the end of the day, nobody can give you the kind of love that you can give yourself. And that's the biggest takeaway from the song. So if you are interested in getting this song on pre-sale, I'm going to put a link below, and I'll also put a link to my website where you can subscribe to me. It's only $5 a month, and when you subscribe to me, you will be getting special things that other people may not get. People that just buy my albums off of Apple Music or iTunes or whatever, at Amazon, they may not get these special things. So it might be something like a little extra merch that's sent to you, or special pictures or special photos, or sometimes secret tracks. I kind of am going to be mixing it up a little bit, but it'll be definitely, I'm always going to make sure that my fans and my subscribers really, I want to treat you guys good, because I appreciate anybody who supports my music and anybody who supports me, especially if I'm doing it. It makes me feel good if I'm doing something that is helping you. So, my subscriptions are on my website, www.magifest.space/music. I'm in love